everybody. We are here with writer-director Kyle Edward Ball, and he is the man behind a new horror film called Skinamarink. Kyle, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's everything's really exciting right now, and I can't thank the horror press and the audiences enough. It's been amazing.
Can you give us a bit? Can you tell us about the film?
Yeah, for sure. So Skinamarink is a lo-fi experimental feature horror movie. It's about two very little kids who wake up in the middle of the night to discover that their dad is gone and all the doors and windows in their house have mysteriously vanished. So they go to the living room, get some blankets, put on some cartoons, and chill for a bit. And after a while of being in the house alone, they discover that they may not actually be as alone as they think. So
I'm sorry, the movie, honestly, it struck a nerve with me. Um,
thank you.
and it was easily the most atmospheric film of 2022 for sure. I mean,
Thank
it was
you.
just it it definitely freaked me out, and I loved every minute of it. So where did the idea for this film come from?
So I think a lot of horror directors, when they're little, going into their career growing up, we always want to do a big scary house movie. And there's any different ways to interpret that. For example, Ridley Scott, when he did Alien, I think he was doing his big scary house movie in space. Then in my mid 20s, I started a YouTube channel where people would comment nightmares they had and I would recreate them. And a very common trope nightmare that people would comment is a dream people remember from childhood where I'm in my house, I'm alone, and there's a monster and I have to deal with it. And so the idea of doing a big scary house movie, other influences ranging from 2001: A Space Odyssey to Kenneth Anger, had kind of fomented in my mind, and that beautiful Frankenstein led into Skinamarink.
And forgive me, but the title, where does it come from?
Yeah, for sure. So I was watching a Elizabeth Taylor movie from the 50s, and I noticed kids in the movie were singing the song Skinamarink.
Yeah.
And that surprised me because, as far as I know, at the time, I thought Sharon Lois and Bram, this children's act from North America, had
Yeah.
actually come up with it. So I looked into it more and discovered it's actually a song from the turn of the century and even may date farther back than that. And no one really knows where it came from originally. So then it kind of stuck around in my head. And then I thought, okay, well, it's personal to me, it's personal to other people. It invokes childhood, it invokes nonsense. It sounds both innocent and could also be vaguely threatening or strange in the same time. It are why don't we make this our working title? I'll come up with a better title later, and here we are.
And and another one was never found.
Yeah.
Um it's fine, it works.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so there's a very specific aesthetic that you developed for the film. Can you describe that and how it came to be?
Yeah, for sure. So ever since I was a little kid, I've always liked old movies because movies from different eras evoke different feelings and emotions and ideas in my mind. And even as a little kid, I thought, oh, how come they don't make old movies today? How come they changed? Right. And growing up, I thought, I'd like to make an old movie today. And other directors have done this, right? So Ty West did it with House of Devil. There's that new movie, Annie's Men, coming up. And then seeing the lo-fi analog horror explosion in recent years on YouTube it just kind of kept fomenting, and I put that into the movie. So
Yeah, it's a very I mean, lo-fi is a good word for it, catch-all word for it, but the aesthetic, the visual aesthetic is grainy. It's high contrast. It feels as if it was shot on a home camera, you know, like an 8 millimeter. Um, the audio is there's a tinny echoey flavor to the audio that is just disturbing.
mhm.
And like it somehow really catches that weird memory of childhood.
Yeah.
Like, where did you make that connection?
A lot of it was accidental because, I didn't consciously say, well, at some points I said this, but, I didn't think, I'll just put grain, lo-fi audio, film weird angles of the house, and Bob's your uncle. I'm gonna tap into someone's reptilian brain. But there was shades of that where I thought, this will definitely evoke this emotion in certain viewers and this emotion in others. Let's have at her. And it just kind of worked, right? And I think that's with a lot of movies. You try to capture an emotion and hope it does. And if you're sincere in your efforts and not cynical, and just try to make a movie that you think you can make and that you want to see on screen, you'd be surprised how often that pays off. And I think it did in this case.
It was when I first saw the trailer, um it reminded me of the heyday of extreme and immersive haunts. That you know, there was a particular haunt called Blackout Haunted House.
Mhm.
Um, and I was like, has he been to this Blackout Haunted House? Because it was
I'm
almost
terrified of
identical.
horror house, like walk through haunted
Oh,
houses.
wow, really?
I went a few years ago. There's this great one in Edmonton. Oh, God forgive me. I forget what it's called. I think it's called Deadmonton.
Uh-huh.
And the proceeds actually go to, I don't know if this is every year, but it goes to a good cause. The year I went, it was for burn victims. So it's this limited time thing around Halloween. They get a location, they hire all these actors, and they walk through it. And I was so excited. I went with a bunch of my film school friends, and I was so jazzed. And then when we got in, when we started stepping over the threshold, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And my
Oh,
friend Lewis is like, Kyle, it's fine, it's fine. We're already in. And then when we paid our ticket, I'm like, I still don't know. And he's like, Kyle, you paid your ticket. We're here with you. You're a grown adult with a bunch of other grown adults. And then it was a blast, right? But
right.
oh, it can be so scary.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. Maybe that should be your next film. Um,
we'll
you
see.
know. So you don't like haunts and but
I
are
do, I do. I just don't. And that's the great thing about
well,
horror is it's like a roller coaster, right? It's controlled scare,
yeah,
you
well,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I always like to say that horror is consensual and
Yeah.
you know, if it isn't, then it's not horror because you're out of control, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So exactly. So um but do you have any other influences, any films or things that really kind of drive you creatively?
Yeah, there's lots. And it's outside of horror. I love all kinds of movies. And there's everything from 2001: A Space Odyssey to The Umbrellas of Cherbourg to Kenneth Anger to John Waters to um when I was a teen, I found a tape of the best of insert this year from the early 90s of the New York Underground Film Festival to weird stuff. Like the other night I had my friends over, and me and my executive producer, one of my executive producers, Edmund, we were just clicking around on YouTube on my TV, and there was this compilation of Soviet Union commercials from the late 80s.
Oh my God.
And I put it on, and he's like, "Oh, I've watched this a bunch of times." I'm like, "Really? You've seen this too?" And he's like, "Yeah, because it's strange and funny and weird." And it's like, oh, like, and if you look at this compilation, there's a lot of views, but not a ton. And it's like, it's weird that we both found this. And we were even like, oh yeah, here's this men's suit commercial from the Soviet Union, and then this other one. And always be open to new and strange media, because you never know what's gonna influence you, and little pieces that'll pay off. And yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious about the audience that
Mhm.
Skinamarink found.
Mhm.
Who are they?
I think it's Gen Z has latched onto it in a lot of ways. Not everyone in Gen Z, they're not a hive mind by any means, but it's definitely found an audience, and I can't wait for it to find an audience again on Friday, because it's going to be neat. But with that being said, there's been a lot of people who thought this was 100 minutes they'll never get back, and that's fine. Movies are subjective. If we all love the same movie, the world would be a boring place. But yeah, I don't know if there's any one given rule to say who likes it. The other day, about a month ago, I showed the movie to my parents, and my mom loved it. She's obviously biased, but it was weird. We're obviously many different generations apart, but there was stuff in it that she just intrinsically understood.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I don't know. You know, David Lynch said Twin Peaks fans are party people. So why don't we go with that? Skinamarink fans are party people.
We're definitely party people. Okay.
And also, my mom, big Twin Peaks fan. So
Well, see,
maybe that's why she liked
and it all comes full circle. There it is.
Full Circle. Yeah.
What's next for you?
I had a few ideas for movies that I was batting around. I made the mistake of telling people what they were, and I kind of fell out of love with them. I
Oh,
had another idea that I didn't tell anyone about. I'm in fairly substantial talks with a fairly impressive production company that I can't name, but I said, I have another idea. And the person at the production company was like, don't tell me what it is, just write it, figure it out, and tell me when you're ready. So
perfect.
stay tuned. I should have more stuff coming in 2023, 2024, hopefully. So
Excellent.
let's see.
Well,
Yeah.
definitely want to see it. I got to tell you, Skinamarink was again one of my favorite horror films of the year. Super
Thank you so
atmospheric,
much.
wonderful, wonderful fun, and everybody, Skinamarink, see it. When's it come out? It comes out
In
this Friday.
theaters everywhere, January
See,
13th.
there it is.
Skinamarink. This picture is not yet. This picture is literally not yet rated. Although in Alberta, the theater that's it's playing in Edmonton submitted for classification, and we got PG. And
Yeah.
I was kind of offended. And then in Birmingham, England, it got 18.
Oh, nice.
I know, right? But I don't know.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's it's for everyone. All right,
Yeah.
everybody, check out Skinamarink in theaters this Friday. This Friday, yeah. And
Friday the 13th.
see, it was meant to be.
It's
Uh,
Kismet.
Kyle, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for this film, and come back when you have more.
Absolutely. Thank you, Norman.
All right, take care.
Bye.